For centuries, the towering peak of Mount Everest stood untouched, a white pyramid rising from the Himalayas cloaked in myth and mystery. Locals called it Sagarmatha in Nepal and Chomolungma in Tibet, the mother goddess of the world. To early explorers, it was simply the third pole, a place that tested not just geography but the limits of human spirit. The first real fascination began in the early 20th century, when British surveyors realized Everest was the highest point on Earth, 8,848 meters above sea level. That number ignited the world's imagination. If men had conquered the poles, could they also stand on top of the world? The first expeditions were British, daring, under-equipped, and full of determination. In 1921, the British Mount Everest Reconnaissance Expedition, led by Charles Howard Berry, began mapping possible routes from Tibet. 2 years later, in 1922, climbers reached an astonishing 8,320 meters, but 7 Sherpas were killed in an avalanche, the mountain's first recorded tragedy. Everest had claimed its first lives. Then came 1924, the year that gave birth to one of mountaineering's greatest mysteries. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine made a final attempt on June 8th. They were last seen just a few hundred meters below the summit before disappearing into the clouds. Mallory's famous reply to why he wanted to climb Everest, "Because it's there," became legend. When his body was found 75 years later at 8,155 meters, the question still remained: did they reach the top? No one knows. For decades, political barriers and harsh conditions halted progress. But after World War II, the focus shifted to the southern side, Nepal. The 1950s were a new era of exploration, and in 1953, the impossible finally happened. On May 29, 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay of Nepal stood on the summit of Everest, the first confirmed humans to reach the roof of the world. They were not just climbers, they were heroes, representing the unity of courage and cooperation between nations. The world celebrated. But Everest didn't rest. Over the next decades, climbers from every corner of the world would test themselves on its slopes. In 1960, a Chinese team claimed the first ascent from the north side. In 1975, Junko Tabei of Japan became the first woman to reach the summit. In 1978, Reinhold Messner and Peter Habeler shocked the world by climbing without bottled oxygen, something once thought impossible. And in 1980, Messner returned to do it solo. Everest had become the ultimate proving ground, but with fame came danger. The mountain grew crowded, and tragedy struck repeatedly, most notably in 1996, when a sudden storm killed 8 climbers in one of the deadliest seasons ever, inspiring the book and film Into Thin Air. Even in the 21st century, disasters continued. Avalanches in 2014 and the devastating 2015 earthquake reminded the world that Everest remains as dangerous as ever. Today, hundreds attempt to climb Everest each year. Modern technology, fixed ropes, and oxygen tanks make it more accessible, but also more controversial. Traffic jams near the summit, environmental damage, and Sherpa safety concerns have sparked debates about the true cost of conquering the mountain. Yet despite all that, Everest still calls. For every climber who steps onto its slopes, the question remains the same: can human spirit rise higher than nature's tallest challenge? Because in the end, Everest is not just a mountain. It is a mirror, reflecting humanity's greatest strength and deepest obsession, the need to reach beyond ourselves. If you love exploring stories of courage and discovery, like, subscribe, and share and join us as we climb through history, one summit at a time.